king is sunk. Long live the king.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, worshippers of all ages, welcome back. It's King of the Sea 12 here on North America. Party time, baby, party time.
Damn right.
Welcome in. Welcome in. Hope you guys are ready. We are stoked, and we are joined by a special guest. So let's introduce everybody. Of course, if you tuned in, you probably know Zath and I, but you may not know Sneaky. Sneaky, introduce yourself, buddy.
Hey guys, thanks for having me again. Yeah, I'm the Sneaky Snake. Plenty of you out there probably know who I am. I used to play on NA, and I was also an admin for NA along with Raptor for quite a few tournaments. And then I moved over to EU, and I still play for EU TWA. And I've been doing that for probably like four years now. It's been a very long time. We've come a long way, haven't we, guys?
Yes,
many years now. Many years. You realize that this fall, the competitive scene, well, right now, basically, the competitive scene on NA is 5 years old. 5 years old. Think about that.
Yeah.
Crazy.
A long time ago.
Crazy. But yeah, so, of course, we're back doing King of the Sea. Sneaky has kindly agreed to join us today. Couple of times, how many, two-time champion on EU? Is that right, Sneaky? Or three?
Well, we've won 3 of the last 4, and currently we're back-to-back champs. So that's why I decided to put my little medal on here. Just wanted to let everybody know.
Look at you with your fancy bling, man. Fancy bling. I love it.
Yeah.
I love it.
I'm glad you guys allowed me to come on. I know I've hooked up with you guys before, and I'm just glad to commentate still, and hopefully we'll have a nice day of warships ahead of us.
Absolutely. And of course, Zath, you and I have been doing this for more than 3 years now together. Can you believe that?
No, I can't. But I mean, it's been a ride, and it
has been.
So excited to be back here with you again, hanging out with Sneaky Snake as well. My cat is on my lap. He's all ready to go too.
Aww.
Yeah. He's like, you're going live, aren't you, Daddy? So of course he wants to hop on my lap as soon as I go live.
Look, he's a camera hog. He's a camera hound, just the way you are. It's cool. Runs in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, look, guys. So today is day 1 of King of the Sea here on North America. What does that mean for you as the viewers? Well, it means you're going to see at least 5 games here on the channel today. We're going to be bringing you WOOKY and MGN to start the day. They will be starting on Crash Zone Alpha here in just a little while. We're in the room with them. They're kind of slowly getting their teams together. And then later on in the day, we're going to have to pick a new game each round. The beauty of Swiss, the beauty and the curse of Swiss, is that each round is paired after the previous round finishes. That can be good because it means you don't really know what you're going to see, but it can be bad because it means it can be you just don't really know what you're going to see. So we're going to be picking games on the fly for the rest of the day, guys. We'll keep you guys apprised as we make those decisions. And if we're really fortunate, if there's some timing screw-ups along the way, we might be able to sneak in a 6th game. Sneaky, tell us about the format here. Like there's 96 teams coming into today. How have we organized? How has NA organized this?
Yeah, so basically the way that it's going is that there's 4 different divisions. There's Farragut, King, Prentice, and Latore divisions, and basically there's a whole bunch of teams in each one. And as far as I'm aware, if my math checks out, you got to go at least 3-2 to advance. So 3 wins, 2 losses. Mm-hmm. And the format, as for the teams, it's still the normal 9v9, no carriers, 2 battleships. Wargaming is now heading King of the Sea. For those of you out there that don't know that, so there is one interesting rule change where each team is allowed to ban a ship before the match, whether they're playing one game or a best of 3 or best of 5. And also, by popular choice, the Petropavlovsk has also been banned as well. They asked everybody before the tournament, hey, what ship would you like to see removed? Nobody can bring it. It's no surprise that ship was pretty OP in the last one, if we're being honest with ourselves. So no Petro, and then each team, like I said, will be able to take one other ship out of the lineup. So it'll change some things, and that's actually what I'm most interested about. See what ships teams decide, hey, we don't want to bring, or which ones they determine is something that they need to get rid of so that their strat can work, etc.
Yeah.
But we've got lots to talk about today. Lots of format changes in the event. Go ahead, Zath.
I'm just really excited to see all the craziness. The first day always brings people just don't know what to expect. So we're going to see that. I'm sure that some of the teams have gotten a peek at what worked over on Europe and possibly even Russia and Asia. So we'll have to see how things go in NA.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of the EU tournament earlier, just kind of had it in the background doing some prep. I was watching the Brotherhood of Beards guys. They basically were taking nothing but meme comps into today, which I thought was hilarious. I watched them. Did you see some of that, Sneaky?
I was at work this morning, but I did catch one of them. It was like their quote-unquote capital ship was a Hindenburg, and they had 8 DDs, and it didn't really work out, but it was entertaining.
No, it didn't work out. The match before that, they took 5 Hindenburgs and some other stuff, and then they did like they like reversed for the first 3 minutes of the match. It was bizarre. It was the strangest thing. They were obviously just in there to have a good time. And
like you said, that's why the first weekend of play is actually quite fun, because you see some what we would consider weird stuff, but it's actually really entertaining to watch. So
I agree.
That's what makes it fun.
Yeah, day one of Swiss is almost always one of the most enjoyable days of the tournament, because the teams are just random. You never know what you're going to see. Like, think back, I forget if it was 11 or 10, Zal, but you remember the very first game that we cast in Swiss that day was that crazy last second win.
Yep.
You remember that?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, that was one of the most memorable moments of the whole tournament, and it came right in the first day, right in game 1. And actually, if you're going to watch just one day of King of the Sea, man, today is honestly probably the one you want to watch, because
absolutely
it is entertaining, to say the least.
Absolutely.
The teams are ready. The refs have been in here and had a check on everything. I think they can drop whenever. Do we need to let them know that we're ready? Probably should, huh?
I mean, I guess we could.
Yeah.
Okay. I will drop them a note. Pretty sure that the at least, I mean, I think that was the ref that came in and took a look at everything and blessed them. So yeah, I think we're good.
Blessed be thy teams that bring the proper comps.
Sneaky. BFK wants to know why you shaved. He can't believe you shaved, buddy.
All right. So the reason why I shaved is because these two fine gentlemen are also, nice and spiffy, and I just figured it would be appropriate if I, sprucened up myself too. So.
Here we go. I'll tell that story later. We are dropping into game 1, guys. For those of you that are used to the little movie transitions, we've taken a different tack with those this time. You might see those later in the event, but we've decided kind of collectively amongst all the different casting crews, and I think as well for Mr. Conway, that those will come later in the event. We're not gonna. They get a little exhausting after a while, right? I mean, they're fun to make, they're fun to show you guys, but they're almost better for the really polished look we want at the end of the tournament. These early days, it's not really necessary, I don't think.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, exhausted, because usually by the end of every KotS, the people in Twitch are like, oh my gosh. Please.
Oh my God, I've seen this 18 times, I know, right?
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Game 1 of King of the Sea. Zath, count us in.
Well,
pick a side.
I was going to say, count on.
Count us in, pick a side, read us off.
Well, I've been taking a look at WOOKY side of things, and it's interesting to see we've got an Ohio and a Kremlin, which makes sense, and then we've got Dagger in the Des Moines, Venezia for the flanky flank, and then good old Moskva, and interesting to see Putin in a Stalingrad, and then we've got Triple Destroyer, Daring Shimakaze Grozovoy.
Our friends over at MGN have also gone for Triple Destroyer, opting Gearing Daring Marceau. I'm a little surprised to see the Marceau, and yet we saw some of the NA teams have really good success with it last event, so maybe I shouldn't be. Backing that up, Yamato Kremlin, Salem, Venezia, Moskva, and Stalingrad going for a nice spread of cruisers themselves. I think it's interesting. We're already seeing cruiser diversity on both teams. That's something that sometimes you don't always see as you get into the higher levels of play in the event.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we're going to see a little bit more of that in this tournament, simply because, well, the Petropavlovsk isn't available for choosing.
Right.
So I do think that, jokes aside, that you're going to see that. And that was reflective on EU as well. There were a lot of Salems, Moskvas, Des Moines, Stalingrads, Venezias. I saw quite a bit. Alexander Nevsky, too. So I think we should expect that.
I mean, honestly, diversity is cruiser diversity should totally be a thing at tier 10, right? I feel very strongly that we should be having, we should see that. So I'm glad the teams feel that way as well.
Yeah, and it's interesting that we're seeing 3 destroyers for both teams there. Both teams opting for that extra vision, but of course you give up a little bit of tankiness with Wookiee having a slight advantage on overall hit points, but only 5,000. It's really not much.
Yeah, it's very, very small. Some early cap contesting here as we got a Daring on the south and a Shimakaze on the north. That's Steelin and Kwape 73 trying to kind of jockey for position in B there. Snoopy's Marceau onto A very quickly. Go ahead.
Ultra long-range shells from Alec and the Yamato just took out 1,500 hit points from I Am Moose in the Ohio. He's now returning the love.
Looks like they're going to try to get that Ohio-Venezia combo, maybe going down the 1 line. That's a pretty common play on this map. This map in particular, since the middle is kind of wide open, a lot of teams like to go to the corners at J1, A10, and just try to work around that. So I think we might see something like that.
Yep. Take a look at Dirk. Oh, whoa.
Moose took another huge hit.
Yes, he did.
Gosh.
Yes, he did.
Holy Jesus.
That's not how you want to
Who
start
is
the
that
game.
Yamato? Alec is absolutely just dead-eyeing this. Yes, pun intended. We'll talk about that later. But just crushing this poor Wookiee Ohio early on.
Yep. I want to comment real quickly on Derp and, of course, Comet and Stalingrad. Both Russian cruisers just kind of holding the spot that you would expect them to see, but this island is dangerous because there's a couple of middle areas that are low that enemies can hit over. So, like, Comet could get cross-mapped from the Kremlin if he's not careful.
Wookiee Legend almost bagging C, but Anchor Antonio's ducking in to block that off. I'm curious to see if Puddin's going to put up a radar. I don't think Puddin's got the range just yet. He does not. He's about 2.5 clicks too far back. I'll be curious to see if he decides he wants to move up a little further.
Man, that Ohio losing that amount of hit points here at the start, it's going to make it very difficult for this Wookiee side here down on A to get this push going. I know I already mentioned about going to the corners, but despite the Ohio having the nicer American heal, already being down to 3rd HP basically is going to make this very difficult, especially with that Stalingrad of Kamet position where he is. To be fair, it's a pretty typical spot, but if they're not able to dislodge him, it's going to make going through A pretty nigh impossible here.
Well, and I was going to mention that I feel like Martin Riggs' that Venezia position on the 1 line is super critical to getting this Stalingrad out of here. We all know what a Venezia can do to a Stalingrad given time.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be very interesting to see if he can continue. He's got great cover back there. They probably don't have any line of sight on him. They don't. They can't see him right now. So he just gets to shell Kamet for free as long as he can land the shells.
Kamet's taking a torp on the bow. That's pretty big torp actually.
Pretty solid hit there between the Torp and the SAP.
Yep.
5 minutes
and then
gone.
the too. Juan Jane took a pretty big hit as well. Up by the C cap.
Yep.
Yeah, they're gonna have to dislodge the Stalingrad and or the Moskva. Wookiee is to be able to get some control here.
Putin's position up north is also kind of key to Wookiee's hold on the cap, I should say. He took a decent sized hit, I think, from Karius' Kremlin. Wookiee bags the early cap, though. They'll start ticking up here. 5 minutes gone. It's working out to a small lead.
An interesting play here. C Sheep is moving to Salem, trying to get close to that C cap. I don't know if Anchor Antonio's gearing is going to give him smoke, but he is starting to take some shell fire here. Did move quite a bit away from the island.
Torpedo dodge. Wow. Nice dodge by Anchor Antonio.
Torpedo beats. Wookiee now trapped up against an island, but still out of radar range of the Salem. Of course, Salem having that great survivability, but the shorter range radar.
Yeah, it looks like he's backing off on this decision, and I don't know if he's going to eat a torp. No, he'll be fine.
Speaking of torps, we have some torps coming in on Wookiee right now.
He's got his Hydra up. I don't think that'll be a problem. Well, let's see.
Look at all the fire coming in on Sheep. He's going to have to be careful here. Yeah, he's definitely backing off on that decision, but he's going to eat a little bit of damage here. Trying to reverse. And yeah, Wookiee should be fine as long as he doesn't slow down here.
Yeah, he had his Hydra up. He should be able to spot those.
He's good.
Not much going on today while this is going on at sea, by the way.
Collective efforts of Wookiee pushing that Salem back off the cap at C. A contested now. Looks like, I guess that's the Marceau ducking in?
That is the Marceau ducking in, yep.
Yes.
Yep, he's got his stern in on the very, very bottom end of the cap.
Now, it's watch Chaos down here south of A. Let's see what he decides to do. He's gonna beach. Okay, never mind. I thought he was gonna make a play to come around the corner, but he probably got called off at the last second. But they gotta do something soon to dislodge Derp, otherwise Kemet's just gonna eventually get whittled down.
Yeah, a lot of cap contesting going on right now.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, the game we're frozen on points again, right? Both A and C contested, just as Wookie picked up picked up C.
No, they got
immediately Anchor was in there contested.
And take a look here at Moose and Martin Riggs's Ohio and Venezia. They've actually decided not to continue to push down, which I think is the better play, and they're just trying to get some chip damage here on the Stalingrad, but he's still got about 40,000 HP. Still plenty more to go through. It's going to take them a while if they really want to continue to commit to that.
Yep.
Oh,
Yep.
Antonio. Gearing's under fire.
Ooh, not quite enough range in that torque.
Look at the gearing. He is caught in a very bad position. Anchor Antonio up at C. He's going to have to turn broadside to this daring. Just eating a lot of damage. Caught by the Des Moines radar.
Is he under radar? Is that how he spotted? Yeah. Looks like Antonio might have finally played too much. He's going to go out right here. They're going to get him.
Yep.
And there's our
first blood going to Wookie.
That was a very aggressive gearing play. I know he wanted to get torps on Pud and Stalingrad, but paid for his life with that. A very, very bad miscalculation right there.
Well, it's definitely going to make an impact in the game because now Wookie has not only a 2-cap lead, but they have a ship lead as well. MGN definitely, they got to make a play somewhere looking for a kill, but Wookie's not really giving them any good looks right now. There's nothing obvious that they can go after.
Yeah, and losing that gearing up at sea obviously makes the Salem's job a lot more difficult because now it doesn't have the ability to get smoked up. And yeah, they're going to have to perhaps push in with the Moskva and the Kremlin up at sea to get something going. But now Wookie's in the great position. They can just kind of sit here where they're at.
Well, I was just going to mention that since Wookie already has Charlie Cap, they can just back off and wait. There's no destroyer to contest him anymore unless MGN rotates their daring back up to sea. I mean, he's just been playing torpedo footsie with the Shimakaze stealing, so...
To their credit, you see MGN, they seem to realize this. The Kremlin carries his Kremlins. Looks like he's going to push right into the C cap.
And it looks like Juan is getting moving too with the Moskva. Yeah, they're identifying that they need to do something here at sea, but that daring has been making it pretty difficult for them to push in. I mean, smoking up, shooting at him, being a nuisance. Obviously getting that gearing kill with the help of the friends. He's doing pretty good so far.
Wookie looking really good here. They finally surrender the B cap, and honestly, I like this play. I mean, Steel and Shimakaze has been doing a great job of playing tag team against Kowabi's daring, but there's no need for them to risk that at this point. Pull Steel back. They've got a 300-point lead. They got 10 minutes. They got plenty of time. I like this play. I think that's the right call.
There's a scrap going down at A with the Grozovoy and the Marceau, and it appears that the Grozovoy is taking the worst out of it.
Well, I would kind of expect that from his guns, honestly. One of the things about Snoopy's position is it doesn't allow the Venezia to get a ton of support. You see there, the Venezia shell's finally coming in, but not really being effective by the time he turns.
Alec is going to take a torp on the bow. He's trying to push now into A. So both sides, MGN applying pressure to the forehead.
And they will be able to get this Moskva. I think Derp Daily Gaming's life is going to be measured here in a few more seconds. Down to about 6,000 HP. That Moskva, they can unhinge that Moskva position for Wookie, and they should be able to take A without any issue.
Credit to MGN for realizing they had to do something, and so what have they called for? Basically, an across-the-board push.
Yeah, and that can throw people off sometimes if you're not anticipating it, and there we go. There goes the Moskva. So let's see what they can do down at A with that significant HP advantage as well.
Both teams on a kill now, but Wookie looks like they're going to lose control of the A cap. I mean, I don't.
Kyra still is quite low.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they're going to lose control of C. I think they've got enough firepower to eventually hold C. They're going to kill the Kremlin here in a minute, and then they're going to turn their attention to one of them and the other, the Moscow or the Salem.
Look at the daring Kwape just going all the way up, right in the rear.
The Salem's getting hit. Sheep is getting hit pretty hard from Daggers. Des Moines, who's just look at that positioning. He's just poking his nose out, hitting him with AP in the side. That Salem is eating citadels hard. Oh, yeah.
was gonna say
Yeah, that Salem
Wookiee's under
heal's nice, but oh,
continual fire here.
Yeah. It's only a matter of time before the MGN forces at C fold. They just don't have enough health.
the Moskva might
Yeah.
get cross-mapped by the Ohio, perhaps.
I just don't
No.
like that there's really not a lot of focus fire going on. Look how low all 3 of these ships are.
Well, there goes the Salem. And I am a little surprised the Kremlin is still in the game, but I don't think he's going to be here much longer. Dagger takes a big hit there in exchange, but
Yeah,
it's
that's
only a
fine.
matter. Carius' life is
There he
measured in
goes.
seconds. There he goes. A 2-ship lead now for Wookiee. Despite being down a cap, they have a comfortable 300-point lead here. 8 minutes to play.
Yep. So Juan's going down. Now it's a question of can Wookiee retreat from A without losing too much. Oh, Kamet takes a big hit there. 4K health.
Ooh, Comet just got slapped. And yeah, it's a big deal. I think all they got to do is just got to retreat back up the 1 line. Let them have A, obviously.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Finish off the Moskva, then get turned around and reorient, and this will become a north-south fight.
Like MGN, they certainly realized what they had to do up at C, but it just seemed like that push maybe, although it occurred at the same time, maybe the positioning wasn't as good because Putin was able to just sit there next to the island
Right.
and kind of rake all of those ships as they came around, and then the Kremlin also provided some pretty good support too. So
You know, we like to. I commonly will kind of rag on people who push up the 10 line up around to the A line on this map. I do it all the time, and yet you see here why that happens. Putin's going to take some torps for his trouble,
yeah.
2 in the bow, but you see here why it happens because pushing through the wide open space into the C cap is like a death sentence, right?
Yep.
I mean, you're just asking to get focused out, and that's exactly what happened to the
That's
MGN
why-
ships at sea.
That's why, like I mentioned at the very start, you really need to try to go to the corners because at least those islands can keep you in cover, and then it just limits the amount of angles that you can get shot at, where you really only have to worry about ships appearing on your left side. But of course, when they pushed in that Des Moines, Dagger's positioning was fantastic, and he just creeped out and said, "Hello, here's some AP for your trouble."
Exactly.
Yep. Koape now getting
Koape in a gun-
robo-copped.
I was gonna say, yep, in a gunfight with the Shima. Can he take him with him? He does. That's
Wow.
a good trade for MGN. It's just going to come too late in this game as they're down, what is that, 450 points?
Mhm.
Yeah. Anytime you're trading with cap lead, it's
Yeah.
it's fine. Not a big deal.
That first ship kill, that gearing kill at sea was really just kind of a hinge point for the whole game at that point, because then that really put MGN on the back foot. They felt they had to push. The push at A worked brilliantly. The push at C working a little less so.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I also got to give Moose some credit here. He took a lot of damage early on, but now here we are maybe 12, 13 minutes after he took those big hits, and he's still around.
Still in the game.
Well, you
And
mentioned the
anytime
USN
that-
battleship super heal, or not super, but enhanced.
Yeah, and the thing about competitive is that, if you're not dealing a lot of damage or getting kills or whatever, as long as you're still alive, it's so important to keep those points on the board for your team.
Absolutely.
And, Moose did a pretty good job of just being like, okay, I took some medicine at the early part of the game. Let me just refocus, get things under control. And, yeah, he did well.
Snoopy's Marceau, the last surviving ship for MGN. Wookiee's going to claim this game here in moments. They'll clean it up one way or another.
And, yep.
Grozaboy coming out to accept a gunfight, which he will lose.
Indeed.
But that's all right. It's Snoopy goes out, and that's the game.
Okay.
Well played to both teams, but Wookiee looking really good there. Obviously coming in with a strat they liked, a strat they executed pretty well, and they kind of just what appeared to me things were going well for them. They picked up some early caps, and then all they had to do was sit back, and that gearing at sea makes a critical mistake, gets caught out, and there you go. They maximize the pressure and pull it off.
Yep.
Yeah, it was really good. And I think Dagger, we got to give him some props too in that Des Moines creeping around
Absolutely.
those islands up at the sea cap.
Absolutely.
That's what a
Yeah.
Des Moines typical positioning for that map, but it seemed like he was able to take advantage of those angles and, he's slapping the Salem, getting some good shots on the Kremlin, the Moskva, and all that. So it was really good.
Yeah.
Oh,
No,
absolutely.
that was a really well played game, really well executed game by both teams, and MGN lost, but I really like that they did something that you don't commonly see of teams kind of in this format, and it's certainly not this early in the tournament. And that's, we're down a ship, we're down on caps, we have to do something. Let's do something. So many
Right.
teams, once they find themselves on the back foot, they kind of look around like, MGM was like, nope, we know what we got to do. Get in the face. Get in their faces. Let's go.
That's right.
And it didn't work out, but they did something. They reacted, and I love that.
Yeah, and they didn't just let it. They went down swinging, you know.
Right. They didn't freeze up. Hey Zath, do me a favor.
Yeah.
Go over to your Twitch window. I sent you an invite for squad streaming. Let's try this.
Okay. Let me find my Twitch window.
Okay, you do that. Have a check of that
Start
while you're working on it.
Okay, so invites. I see that. I shall accept.
Okay. And then I'm gonna press start squad stream. That should work, hopefully.
Okay, so
There we go.
now what does this do?
I have no idea. We're gonna find out. I've wanted to do that for years. Ever since they announced it, I wanted to do it for King of the Sea. We're
Okay.
gonna find out.
So it gave me a link to follow. And I'm not sure exactly what that link does, but let's go to it and see.
Let's find out. Let's see. I just put it in. Let's see.
Okay.
So what should happen here, and I'm gonna have to mute it to make sure that you guys don't have to. They don't
It's
have to
got
hear the
both
whole
of us
thing.
Here. I see it.
Yeah. So what should work here is that both of us should appear, and then players can, like the viewers can toggle between which view they want to see. They can also kind of see both views simultaneously, right? They can see both cameras. They'll only hear one audio stream, but they can see both camera views at the same time. So that's what should happen.
Okay.
Anyways, we'll let that run for a bit, and hopefully people enjoy that. In the meantime, let's look for another game. Let's we gotta get some results in here, huh?
We do indeed, yes.
Let's put up the TTV screen for a minute and start looking to see if we can get some results. Doesn't let's see. Let's go over to here. Matches. Okay, so that was in the.
Available, of course.
Yes. So let's talk about that for a little bit. Actually, let's look for another game first. We got to wait for a little bit, but let's just, while we keep an eye on the spreadsheet and game results coming in. Let's talk about that for a minute, because I think this is important. Earlier this year, several months ago now, Wargaming, of course, purchased basically the intellectual property of King of the Sea from the EU admins. They were the originators, so technically they kind of owned I don't know if they ever trademarked it, but they basically owned the rights to the name and everything. And Wargaming, bought them out, and now technically they own kind of the name and everything. But they've done something this time that they haven't done before. They've put up a cash prize pool out of their own pocket for King of the Sea.
Yeah, they did. It's up to 30,000. At least this is if you make it all the way. For the teams that make it to the international part, or the top 4 teams for each server, they get to play against each other. The team that finishes first, it's like a $15,000 pool to be distributed, and then it's like, I think 7,500, 5,000, and 25, something like that. So
Sounds about right.
yeah, but they started doing this with the Verizon tournament, which was last November, I believe. I'm sure you guys, I mean, I'm sure plenty
Oh,
of
yeah.
the people here watching remember that, and it was cool that
Yep.
they were able to, get sponsorship and test the waters with that. And obviously, they thought it was a good idea to get interest. And obviously, when you're giving out a little bit of dough for your troubles, it'll get people to play. So
But it's interesting to me, like the Verizon pricing was gifted, donated, right, by Verizon. That was their tournament, was their cash money. This time, Wargaming has reached into their own pocket. This is Wargaming, as far as we know, anyway. This is Wargaming's cash that they are donating, which I think is, or that they're giving away. That's really interesting to me, right? Because previously, up to all the years we were running King of the Sea, prizes have been doubloons and premium ships and fancy medals, right? Show off your medal again, Sneaky, right? That's a neat thing.
Yeah, right here.
There you go. That's it. The physical medals are a new prize that they recently added, but it's interesting to me that they're now adding cash into the mix. Do you guys feel like that's going to change the tenor of the event at all? Because I'll ask that question. I'll give my opinion in a minute. Go ahead, Zath or Sneaky. Somebody go. I don't care.
Absolutely, it'll change the tone. Anytime something's available for money, now your stakes are much higher than they were before. And what that means is, I think we saw this with the Verizon tournament. There were tons of calls about rules where things followed to the letter, all that kind of stuff, which makes sense because it's for money. But we also saw a different kind of competition, I think, in the Verizon tournament. I think we're going to see that here in King of the Sea as well. These teams are all here. We saw a maxed out number of teams on North America, to the fact that we had 10 teams on the wait list even. So everybody wants a piece of this prize. I mean, not just, of course, the money from the international side of things, but there's some really good prizes for players as well based off their teams. There's doubloons, there's steel, some camos, of course, and of course, I believe that special King of the Sea flag too, right?
Correct. Yeah. You always get the flag. The flag is awarded at the regional level, right? The regional prizes are still, doubloons and the flag, and I think steel. Then the international prizes is where the cash comes in.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah,
that's correct. I mean, perhaps this is a harbinger of things to come, and if they're feeling generous enough in future tournaments, maybe they'll even give out cash prizes for the regional level. But I think that, like Zach said, there's definitely a chance for it to continue to filter in and more prizes. But I think they just want to see, again, like, hey, how much interest is there? And clearly, as far as I'm aware, every server maxed out and then some with the applicants that entered. So it's obvious that everybody wants to try to get their bit, their chance to win some good goodies. So
I think it's interesting that they've made this choice. There has long been. I'm gonna wax poetic for a little bit, right? We talked about this at the very top of the stream. The three of us played together in the old Supremacy League here on NA almost 5 years ago. Okay, yep. So competitive World of Warships tournaments and play and events, player-run events, have been going on in the game for a very, very long time. Wargaming, to their credit, has had a pretty good history of supporting those events. Usually, maybe not always massively with King of the Sea type prizes, but even when we ran little war games events, to kind of train and prep people for what King of the Sea style play looked like, they put up some doubloons or some ships or that kind of stuff. Way back in the day, the old Supremacy League, they worked with I'm gonna blow it. One of the old community managers here on NA, Cueva Pueblos.
Cueva Pueblos, oh yeah.
Cueva Pueblos, right, was one of the original guys that helped, get those guys off the ground, help provide them some prizing, and so on. And the EU guys, when you go listen to, the EU guys, the EU admins gave a really great interview with Stats Bloke on his podcast. There's a quick shout out for you. Where they basically described that King of the Sea wouldn't exist without Supremacy League. Because they couldn't get any traction out of the EU community team. They talked to the Supremacy League guys who put them in contact with the NA community office, who then helped them make the right contacts to get King of the Sea going on EU. And of course, here we are today. But again, all of those initiatives were driven by the players. And now, suddenly, 5 years on, Wargaming is now interested in competitive play. I find that a very, it's almost like a 90-degree left turn. Like, where did this come from? Like, what changed?
I think what changed is Wargaming wanted to do their own competitive play. And for a long time, they saw Supremacy, they saw King of the Sea as something that was there, but they didn't really think it was. When you do something and you see somebody else doing it, you're like, I can do that, but I want to put my own touch on it, right? And I think that's what Wargaming was in the process of trying to develop for so long, when they had their team battles going, and then they started doing their clan battles. And I really do think that Wargaming thought that was going to be their ticket, was having some form of clan battle ladder and all that kind of stuff. But unfortunately, it didn't kind of play out the way that they wanted. There was no real exposure on Twitch or any place else, and as a result, we basically saw them trying to find something that will work. And I think at this point they said, well, like you had mentioned, it's been so many years, well, let's just freaking buy what we know is already working, and then let's tweak it to what we know will work for us, or let's make it our own. And Wargaming is making this their own, partially by throwing down the dollars.
It's maybe. I don't know. I find it a real interesting change, just because for so many years, like people that have since left the company, like Mimi Missile, right?
Mm-hmm.
Viewers may not have heard her name before, but Mimi Missile was a St. Petersburg member of the dev team who worked exhaustively on map design, and she worked tirelessly to help us get things like tournament spawns and spectator mode into the game, in an era where the leadership and the kind of the management team didn't seem interested in supporting those things. She lobbied for it. She was able to help get it pushed through. And now suddenly that all this stuff is here, she's unfortunately no longer with the company, but like now the company seems to be embracing it. They bought King of the Sea. They're ponying up all these money. And I'm just like, there's been a desire for this for years, and just now you guys are getting interested. I find it a very interesting and a somewhat perplexing change of direction.
So, one thing that I learned, as you know, and some of my viewers know, I actually applied for a senior community manager position with Wargaming a while back. And in the process of interviewing for that position, I learned some insight about how Wargaming operates. And of course, they've got their established roles, you do this, you do that sort of thing. But Wargaming's infrastructure has always been set so that if somebody has an idea that they want to go with, Wargaming basically says, run with it, see what you can do with it, and have fun with it, right? We've seen that with Mr. Conway, for example, doing so much work with King of the Sea and other competitive events, right? And I really do feel like Mimi probably looked at this and said, you know what? I want to build a spectator system. I want to make this happen. And I wouldn't be surprised if she just built that into her job description, so to speak, and said, I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to run with it. And you're right, it's unfortunate that she's gone, but, look at what she managed to build. It's fantastic.
Yep. Nikki, what do you think?
I mean, the admins that have run things before Wargaming, obviously they did a great job, but I just think that, kind of like what you guys already said, not to piggyback off, but they realized King of the Sea has been popular for so many years now, and it always gets great interest on Twitch and amongst the community, and they just kind of wanted to dip their toes into that. And once they realized that, hey, this is a great way to keep the brand promoted, it was pretty much 2 + 2 = 4 at that point. So, yeah. And of course, getting sponsors, that's always great,
Well,
nice to have other people say, hey, your product is good. We want to, give you some money to, showcase it and whatnot. So
that's the other thing is that, this time they're ponying up money out of their own pocket. I'm wondering if there is an intention, probably a desire, so they don't have to do it all the time, but intention to actively, you run this event once yourself, okay, with your own money, and then later on, you pull in all the viewership numbers and all the metrics, and then you can go and show a potential sponsor, hey, look what we can do for you on Twitch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So
and
maybe
I think Verizon proved that because it was,
Oh,
as far
yeah.
as I'm aware, I don't remember the numbers off the top of my head, but I'm pretty sure it was the most watched World of Warships like competitive event that's ever been streamed by a pretty decent margin.
Well,
Because
and-
also the Wounded Warrior project was also part of that too, if I remember
Yes,
correctly.
they were.
Yeah,
They
but
were.
part of what helped that happen was they were featured on Twitch's front page. I have a screenshot of them on the front page with over 50,000 people watching their stream. So
Yep.
Yeah.
that was huge too.
I mean,
Yeah,
that's
there were, like-
a lot of people.
Yep.
Yeah.
There were I think it was day 2. They went for the front page listing, and there were 60,000 people watching the tournament, which was amazing.
Yeah.
Because the previous high to that had been an earlier King of the Sea, where I think they paid or lobbied for a front page listing, and we had like 20,000, right? And then they just blew that out of the water, which is really interesting. Now, chat's pointing out something also, right? We're seeing, and you and I, we've all seen this. We're seeing fewer and fewer veterans hanging around the game. So just in an era when wargaming has finally decided to get interested in competitive play, so many of the really competitive clans, the really, really good, really high-level clans have suffered attrition and have kind of condensed down smaller and smaller and smaller. I feel like we've seen that on NA for more than a year now. Look at the clans that we quote unquote grew up playing against: the PSVs, the ZRs, the old special forces guys we used to play against in Supremacy League all the time, right?
Oh,
some of those
God,
players are still around.
Well,
The clan as a competitive entity is gone.
Well, it's interesting you say that because obviously I've been on EU for a little while now, and there's some newer teams that are, doing better. Or in the case of my clan, some of the old Omni guys came over once they kind of disbanded, and then actually the team that we played against in every KotS championship that we ended up winning was Junk. Well, Junk also finally folded in a few months ago, and some of their guys came to join us too.
Wow.
Yeah, they did.
Okay.
So,
That's a shame. They were a great team. They were fun to watch.
Yeah, and they're great dudes, and we're glad to bring a few of them into the fold. But it just goes to show that, yeah, like you said, some of the old guard finally starting to lose interest. So
I guess there's a small part of me that wonders if we now live in an environment competitively in the game where usually when you have one of these big mega competitive teams fold, the players that survive just move, rather than found a new group and try to train new players and everything, they just move on to a different clan that's already playing at their level.
True.
And so the number of clans that play at that top kind of rarefied level, whatever, kind of just continues to shrink and shrink and shrink. And it becomes harder and harder to break for new talent, new clans to break in. I mean, it feels that way to me. Do you guys agree or disagree?
I do. I agree.
I mean, there's been kind of a joke going around. I've heard other people say, we already know who's going to win NA, so why are we watching? And it's like, like maybe, but to me, what's more fun is, push them off to the side for a second. And that's what I love about like today. Those clans aren't playing. Right, it's the other clans that we've seen that have grown and are trying to make a name for themselves that are coming into this, and that's what I love about the qualifier stage. But yeah, you're absolutely right. We see a certain number of clans that will just kind of continue to rise to the top and will just consolidate like a lot of the talent. Now, in the last game, Dagger has some really good players on there. Puddin's got really good stats, and I've played with him for a very long time. Dagger is another player who's a really good battleship and cruiser player. So, like, I'm not saying that there's only one clan that's got good players, but we definitely see a gravitation towards those clans that have that pedigree.
Yeah. No, that's fair. That's fair. I guess I'm just...
By the way...
Go.
All qualifiers are done for Farragut, King, and Prentice. Latour division is still finishing up.
Yeah, Latour's lagging behind. I'm keeping an eye on things, waiting for them to see if they'll do round pairings so we can go ahead and pick a second game. But so far, they haven't paired any of the round twos in anything.
Raptor, Raptor, our clan is on the list. Did they get in?
Which list?
Which
list?
They're in Latour division.
Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know they actually got a team in. Good for them. Oh, they are. Look at that. They
Look
lost.
at that.
They lost though. They lost
So?
their first game, but at least they made it in. That's good.
They're guaranteed to play another 4, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, if you remember last year, they struggled to get that third. They went 2-0 and then dropped the games 3 and 4 and snuck in with
And
that winning game 5.
And they ruined everybody's brackets.
They ruined everybody's bracket. And then they went on to the top 8, as I recall. Yes, didn't they finish in the top 8?
Something like that.
I feel like they finished in the top 8.
Let me take a look. I still got.
I'd have to go back and check, but I feel like they did. Anyway. Yeah, okay, here we go. They've got round 2 pairings up for Prentice, which is actually the div that I was looking at. Let's see.
And if there's
goodness, Matt.
Pick it. If you see something you want, pick it.
So, well, there's the Battle of the Sewers. Armada del Sur is facing Armada del Sur Academia. So basically, it sounds like that's a clan community grudge match. Let's see. No Cap in QC2, CAG and XPN. Let's see. Let's look at it. Have they paired anything in Farragut yet? We're in Farragut. They haven't paired Farragut yet. Looking at King.
It was KotS 8 guys that they beat PSV, and then they got to the round of 16. But yeah, it was nice. Yeah, because everybody was like, "Wait, PSV's losing. What is this?" Because they were one of the best teams for a long time.
They were.
By the way,
it's go ahead.
Where are you seeing these matchups exactly? Because I'm looking.
I'm on the tournament page, and I'm manually loading each division, and then in the top right, you can click and see on the drop down menu, you can click the round.
Okay, got it.
So Prentice has pairings posted for round 2, so you can see the matches that are being paired, and I'm betting they're putting those in the spreadsheet right now. But the spreadsheet is
that's what I was
super
asking
laggy
about, because I haven't seen anything.
So many people are in it.
It says in about 2 minutes that the round will be generated according to price. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't.
Sorry for the wait, everybody. It's just this is the only downside to Swiss. This
is Swiss. Now, the nice thing about what they do now, the division play allows them to keep a division moving at its own pace. In the sense of, if a division finishes early, they can wrap it up, pair it, and move on, while another division may be lagging behind. And that their games take a little longer, or their rounds take a little longer. So it means that there's less inconvenience, but it does mean that in this first round, we basically, because literally every game more or less starts at the same time. For those of us that are casting it, we cast game 1. Then we basically have to try and, tread water while we look for something else to do.
Yeah.
But right now, we're just waiting for them to pair the rounds.
Right.
It's like we're almost there.
Yeah.
Almost there.
Right. And of course, on days like today, this is typical to have this kind of a little bit of a delay. When we had the actual, tournament running, it goes a lot quicker because we just move on to the next match, assuming that both the other teams have finished.
I've got it, Zaf. I've got who I want to see, I think.
All right.
They've paired King Division, RNG, and QCN. What do you think?
Fine. That's what you want to see.
Let's go take it. Now I gotta wait for them to load it into the spreadsheet before I can write us in. But I really like the look of that match. Okay, I'll wait for them to finish. But the pairing is made, so we'll tentatively call that our next match and then see what happens.
Okay. What's the map?
Next map will be north.
Sorry about that. Didn't mean to cut you off. The room is going to be under Darksteel 77.
Okay. And who's the alpha spawn? It's going to be...
Should be RNG.
RNG.
Yeah.
RNG. QCN. Gotta find them on the list.
Okay, good.
There we go. We're going to the north this time. Yes. Perfect. Okay. Now, one of the things, circling back around briefly to tournament format. One of the things you mentioned earlier, okay, of course, here on NA, Petropavlovsk is banned. I think it's EU as well.
It's everybody. It's
everybody.
international.
Okay,
Yep.
So Petro is a global ban. You will not see a single Petro in the event, no matter what team you watch, what stream you watch, what country, what region you watch.
That's correct.
That's correct.
However, later in the event, it's too early for them now, but later in the event, you will see ship bans added to
So I was in the wrong. I thought that the ship bans were also for Swiss as well. So okay.
They are not yet.
Okay.
Not yet. Okay, they've messed up my name in this thing somewhere, but whatever.
Well, that's my apology. I thought they were. I guess I could have
No
done.
worries. All right, Zath, I signed us up for that match, so we have claimed our match.
Oh no! Did you see this Sewer versus Sewer S? Oh no!
Yeah, I mentioned them. I mentioned them a minute ago.
Okay,
that's
I'm
why
sorry.
I mentioned
I was probably doing 5,000 other things at the same time.
I know the
Wow.
feeling. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad. I know.
Yeah, we're just now taking
the
a
other
look at these.
It looks like one of the star teams is facing off against another one of the star teams as well. There's like star and start, which I thought was interesting. But anyway, so yeah, we've grabbed our match. So that'll be our next match here. We just got to wait for them to get the room. So who was the room host, you said?
Dark Steel.
Yeah.
No, not co-op. Training, dummy. Don't go into a game.
Raptor playing co-op? Never.
No, I do on occasion. All right.
Good.
Oh, there it is. I just saw it on the list. Sometimes it's just the fastest way to blow off some steam and get stuff done.
Damn right it is.
Come on. Goodness gracious. Everything's laggy today. There's Darksteel.
It's all good. Okay, so I was looking at Prentice. Now let's go take a look at King.
Okay, there we go. So we'll put up the TTV for a little bit and let folks have a look at results while we chat and get ready for this next game, which will be RNG and QCN.
So an interesting thing about QCN, I dug through my folder for the KotS history, and they tried in KotS 9 and 10, but they didn't get out of qualifiers. But then in the last tournament, they not only made it out of qualifiers, but they actually made it through the group stage to get to the playoffs. So this is another one of those teams, kind of like if you remember guys like Salty Pirate Crew or Buenos Noches, or dudes that started out, maybe not as good, but just trying to learn and get better. And as I mentioned about more and more teams come into play, you keep doing this, you keep participating in this tournament, you're going to get better and you're going to figure out what you need to do. And as far as I'm aware, QCN also made their way from, the lower levels of Storm, and now they're consistently a higher Typhoon team as well. So it's obvious that they've spent time and effort to get better at the game. And it still shows that there are teams out there that, they put in the time and that they want to try to improve their standing. And it's great because you kind of see them progress each tournament as we cover it, and it's just nice to know that there's still plenty of people out there that want to put into the time and effort like we do in casting and playing and whatnot. So